Marriage is a universal social institution establishing legitimacy of children born in wedlock. The norm in hypergamy is that a man should marry his daughter in a family of higher status than his own status. In a hypergamous marriage, a woman preferably marries a superior or marries an equal. A man should not marry a woman of higher status than himself. Though hypergamy is prevalent in India, it is not universal. In Hindu ideology, the bride is considered as a gift or dan. Ideally, the bride is a virgin offered as kanya dan. In addition, gifts in terms of dowry and materials are also given. The hierarchical relationship between the wife giver and wife receiver may be expressed in commensal activities. Hypergamous marriage may lead to improved status and rank of the families involved. Hypergamous marriages were repeated by wife giver and wife receivers may lead to consolidation of affinal relationship. The norm in the hypergamous system is that a man should marry a woman of higher status than his own. In such a case, wife giver has a higher status than the wife receiver. Leach and Levi-Strauss have discussed the relationship between matrilineal cross-cousin marriage between persons of different social status and class structure. According to Levi-Strauss, hypergamy represents the maternal aspect of anisogamy since it lends privilege to the female line and hypergamy privileges the male line. Hypergamy. Hypergamy is a marriage system in which the woman marries up. The preferred marriage is one in which the woman marries a man of a higher social class. The man should not marry a woman of higher status, nor should a woman marry below her status. This system is found in conjunction with hierarchical societies and with the dowry as the only form of marital payment as among the higher castes in India and in Renaissance Italy. The wife's family, by giving a dowry that tends to become extravagantly high, may hope to improve its rank and social position or to make politically advantageous connections. The upward movement of women from lower social strata means that there will be an excess of women at the top. The high cost of dowries also means that families will not be able to or will be very reluctant to dower more than one daughter. Female infanticide, forcing daughters into the cloister, and polygamy are among the methods used to decrease marriageable women at the top. In the lower social classes, there may be a scarcity of marriageable women. Rules of hypergamy. According to the rules of hypergamy, the status of the husband is always higher than that of the wife. Those who follow this rule always seek for their daughters those men who have social status higher than their own. It is a rule whereby marriage takes place or is generally arranged within a subcaste between a girl of a lower social status and a boy of a higher social status. This practice has occurred mainly among different subsections of a caste or a subcaste rather than between castes. It is found that the tendency towards hypergamous stratification is available among all castes. Each caste is divided into several subcastes, which are again divided into hierarchically ordered groups. It is quite clear that the rule of hypergamy operates within the confines of each endogamous group. In ancient scriptures, it is given that anuloma marriages based on the rule of hypergamy, whereby a girl is married to a boy from the upper subcaste, were permitted. It is also given that pratiloma marriages based on the rule of hypergamy, whereby a girl is married to a boy from a lower caste, subcaste, were not permitted. Hypergamy practice. The old Indian epics and other literatures bear evidence of the practice of hypergamy. Until recent times, the practice of hypergamy prevailed among that particular sect of Bengali Brahmins who were regarded as noble Kulin Brahmins. Everybody had the desire to marry his daughter into the family of the Kulin Brahmin. The Kulin Brahmins were considered to be noble persons of very high status and descendants of very learned people. Hypergamy was not confined to Bengal. There were some sections of people in Kerala, like the Nambudiri Brahmins, who, though superior to others, married the Nair women who are of lower castes. It would seem that in ancient times, hypergamy, anuloma, across the fourfold varna order was acceptable, while hypergamy, pratiloma, was not permitted. Practice of hypergamy has been found among such groups as the Rajput and the Jat of North India, Anavil Brahmin and Patidar of Gujarat, Maithil Brahmin of Bihar, Rahi Brahmin of Bengal, and among the Kanya Bukubja and Saryupari Brahmin of Uttar Pradesh to some extent. It has also been found among the Nair, Kshatriya and Ambalavasi of Kerala. The practice has shown a regional pattern. For instance, among the Rajput of Uttar Pradesh, traditionally girls were given in marriage from east to the west direction within a subcaste. This is so because the Rajput clans were associated with a geographic region and a corresponding rating by region. Prestige of regions increased towards the westerly direction. In the areas where hypergamy is practiced, clans and lineages are of unequal status. Research has indicated that female infanticide among the Jat and Rajput was mainly a consequence of hypergamy. This was so because the girls of the highest groups had very little choice for marriage. Boys of their group could marry lower down, while they had only the boys in groups which were at least equal to their own. Dowry has been generally high in hypergamous communities. Men from the Kulin subcaste of Bengal, belonging to the Rahi Brahmin caste, often married many women at a time and demanded huge dowries. Hypergamy among tribes. Like lower castes, many tribal groups all over the country, except perhaps the northeast, have hypergamous relationship with certain castes in their vicinity. We have known through the pioneering works of Surajit Sinha how a number of tribes in central India have used hypergamy to claim to be Rajputs and Kshatriyas. Similarly, Dilege's book showcases the Bills, a large and widely spread tribe in western India, practice hypergamy with the Rajputs. Many families in these tribes were rich and powerful, usually tribal chieftains claiming to be Rajas, and they were able to get their women married into established, though lower status, Rajput families and then claim Rajput and Kshatriya status. Hypergamy enables tribal groups to claim equal status with the castes receiving their women as wives, thus making the boundary between tribe and caste blurred. Many tribal groups seem to have become castes by this process in history. It is well known that female infanticide prevailed in a number of castes during the 19th century and continued perhaps for a few decades during the 20th century. Riesli saw its relation with hypergamy, and recent researches have confirmed it. The two together created, as mentioned earlier, shortage of marriageable women at the lower rungs of internal hierarchy of a caste, which in turn led to marriageable of its men with women in other, usually lower castes and tribes. In recent times, the increasing incidence of female feticide has resulted in a similar situation, perhaps on a larger scale, in several parts of India. It is reported, for example, that many men in Haryana and Punjab are bringing women for marriage from as far off as Bihar, Jharkhand, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu. We do not know the consequences of such hypergamy for the concerned castes at both ends. If one gets tempted to think that the rule of caste endogamy was being violated only at the lower ends of caste hierarchy, it would be a mistake. It could be violated even at the highest level. To understand this, we should keep in view the fact that every Raja or Maharaja belonged to a caste in a region and stood at the apex of its internal hierarchy. If we take into consideration all the Hindu royal families from Nepal to Kanyakumari and from Manipur to Saurashtra, they belong to a large number of different jatis. Even the claim that all of them belonged to the same varna, namely Kshatriya, was not always sustained. There were subtle arguments against it. If marriage alliances of the members of these royal families are examined closely, they would show how the rule of caste endogamy was violated at the highest level of Hindu society. Hypergamy operated in this context also, with the Rajput royal families of Rajasthan occupying the highest position and receiving brides from the royal families in the rest of India, but not giving brides to them in return. Hypogamy. Hypogamy is the opposite of hypergamy. Hypogamy or pratiloma is another form of intercaste marriage. It allows men of lower caste or varna to marry women of higher caste or varna. The ancient lawgivers, especially Manu, discouraged the practice of hypogamy, but a number of scholars have recognized it as an acceptable form of marriage. It is said that Kakusta Varma, a Brahmin king, gave his daughter in marriage to a non-Brahmin king of the Gupta dynasty. In another instance, Jajati, a Kshatriya king, married Devayani, a Brahmin girl. Similarly, a number of instances of pratiloma are found in our modern society. This intercaste marriage is becoming very popular in the modern Indian society. The government also legalized the intercaste marriage under Hindu Marriage Act 1955. In this system, the desired marriage is one in which the man marries up. Such hypergamous marriages appear frequently among the heroes of the Greek legends. In modern hypergamous marital systems, high marital payment in the form of bride wealth benefits the maternal lineage, as hypergamy benefits the paternal. Hypergamy is the practice of a man marrying a woman of a higher class or of higher social status than himself. This happens a lot more in countries where women have an equal opportunity to make more money or be better educated than men are. Hypergamy is less commonly found in cultures where women have less rights than men. Some examples of this are the Islamic and early American cultures. Endogamy versus hypergamy or hypogamy. It is widely believed that among the traditional boundary maintenance mechanisms of individual castes, the most powerful has been the rule of caste endogamy. It is the hardest nut to crack, as is often said. It is considered the defining characteristic of caste because it alone decides the hereditary nature of caste membership. It has also acquired legal sanction since protective discrimination was provided on the basis of caste and tribe in the Indian Constitution in 1951. Every caste or tribe included in the three categories of backward classes, scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes, is assumed to have a discrete boundaries due to the assumption of endogamy. Nevertheless, the rule of caste and endogamy requires critical examination. Although the scriptures enjoined upon all Hindus to observe the rule of caste endogamy, they also provided for anuloma or hypergamous and pratiloma hypogamous marriages, both of which violated the rule. The Dharmashastras sanctioned anuloma marriage. In hypergamy, a woman of a lower caste married a man of an upper caste, but it did not involve a man from a lower caste marrying a woman from an upper caste. In hypergamy, it was the reverse. Almost every large caste used to have internal hypergamy related to its internal hierarchy. Internal hypergamy created surplus of marriageable women at the upper rungs and their shortage at the lower rungs. The latter usually led men to marry women from acceptable lower castes and caste-like groups such as tribes. Intra-caste hypergamy was thus intimately linked with inter-caste hypergamy. While hypergamy was rare, hypergamy was widespread. The historical as well as ethnographic literature mentions innumerable castes arising out of hypergamous marriages with appropriate myths of origin concocted by bards and by authors of Puranas to legitimize them. Such myth makers, Brahmins as well as non-Brahmins, have existed since ancient times. In early ethnography, Denzel Ibbetson, superintendent of the 1881 census of Punjab, was perhaps the first to report on hypergamy. Not only that, Herbert Riesly, the commissioner of the 1901 census of India, in his monumental work, The People of India, even credited Ibbetson with inventing the term. J. H. Hutton, the commissioner of the 1931 census of India, the last caste-based census with published results, stated in his well-known book on caste, hypergamy is a widespread feature of the caste system. McKim Marriott, in a recent paper on Varna and Jati, based on an extensive study of historical materials since the ancient times as well as modern ethnographic literature, states, since the 19th century, Jatis have been widely but mistakenly equated with theoretical caste entities imagined from fragmentary, mostly priestly information to be uniform, strictly hereditary isolates. The rigid caste system, made up of a collection of such entities, is not likely ever to have existed. If violation of caste endogamy was thus widespread in pre-modern India, then why is caste endogamy considered as the defining criterion of caste in modern India? It seems to me that the British bureaucracy and judiciary, looking for certainty in Hindu custom in their efforts to codify customary law, played an important, if not the decisive role in defining caste as a strictly endogamous group. They were helped in coming to this conclusion by the orthodox Pandits and Shastris whom they consulted for expert opinion. This conclusion was more or less accepted in scholarship on caste. It also led to vigorous attempts to show castes as racial groups supported by anthropometric measurements. This enterprise failed, though the idea continues to raise its head among vested interests around the world from time to time. All in all, the faith in endogamy as the defining characteristic of caste was so strong that it led to relative neglect of intensive study of hypergamy in modern sociology and social anthropology. We have only a few good studies, but not sufficient to give a wider and deeper view. Hypergamy, hypogamy in India. Although the scriptures enjoined upon all Hindus to observe the rule of caste endogamy, they also lower caste women married an upper caste man. Hypergamy was the reverse. While hypogamy was provided for anuloma, hypergamous, and pratiloma, hypogamous marriages. In hypergamy, a rare hypergamy was widespread. Long established hypergamous relationships between many lower and upper castes have blurred boundaries between them. The most well known is the hypergamous relation between Rajputs or Kshatriyas on the one hand and many peasant castes on the other all over western, central and northern India. Another well-known case is that of the Marathas and Kunbis in Maharashtra. Often the lower caste families in hypergamous relationship with higher castes are wealthy and powerful. Hypergamy helps a lower caste rise in social status to claim equality with a higher caste and eventually to adopt its name. Usually, the upper caste opposes this claim. Numerous cases of lower castes claiming to be higher ones reported in the Census of India from 1872 to 1931 arose out of hypergamy. These claims were made in order to seek legitimacy from the British government for higher ritual and social status. British officials would declare their verdict on what they considered was the actual status. After reservations for backward classes became operational in independent India, a lower caste in hypergamous relation with a higher caste would claim to be included in the backward class category with a view to obtaining advantages of reservation. However, it continued to practice hypergamy and would simultaneously claim to be a higher caste for ritual and social purposes. Such a caste was both forward and backward. Like lower castes, many tribal groups have hypergamous relationships with certain castes in their vicinity. Often, tribal families in this relationship are rich and powerful, usually tribal chieftains claiming to be Rajas and therefore Rajputs and Kshatriyas. Hypergamy enables these tribal groups to claim equal status with the castes receiving their women as wives, thus blurring boundaries between tribe and caste. In addition to hypergamy, intercaste marriages have increased under the influence of modernization, not only in urban but also in rural areas. Opposition to them was weakened to such an extent that defenders of caste boundaries are finding their job difficult. Traditionally, in heterosexual couples, the dominating pattern existing was the educational hypergamy of the woman, a type of relationship in which the woman marries a man with a higher educational attainment and in which there are important gender differences. In recent years, however, an easier access to education for women is altering this model. Given this historical inertia, one could consider that the increase in education amongst women would make forming unions more difficult and raise the number of single women. However, what we see that the composition of couples adapts quite well to these structural changes, and that if these changes take place, sooner or later they will have an effect on the marriage market. With only a few exceptions, there is a steady decrease in the level of educational hypergamy in both advanced and developing countries, although these continues to be significant differences between these countries. At the beginning of the 1970s, upward couples surpassed downward couples in all 18 countries in which there was census data between 1970 and 1975. At the start of the new century, 26 of the 51 countries registered negative educational hypergamy values. These countries are home to diverse societies such as France, Jordan, Mongolia, Slovenia, and South Africa. In the case of Spain, in 2001, for every 100 hypergamy couples, there were 67 hypergamy couples. If the trends in education continue, prevalence in educational hypergamy will continue to decrease, researchers say. This scenario suggests that the increase in education level amongst women can have important effects on traditional relationship models and represents a step forward in reaching symmetry when forming relationships. It will be interesting to observe whether this change develops into more equality between men and women in other aspects of their lives, such as decision making, distribution of home tasks, divorce, fertility, etc. Hypergamy today, more commonly referred to as marrying down. A new research reveals that modern women are turning their back on societal normals and choosing to marry men who are less qualified and educated than themselves. We find out more. Breaking the traditional mold of marrying above, today's women are turning societal norms topsy-turvy by marrying down and choosing men who are less qualified and educated than themselves, according to a new research. One of the main reasons for this drastic change in the status quo is women's access to better education, which in turn qualifies them for better positions in the workplace. With financial independence, more women are choosing to marry for love than for financial security. Hypergamy today. Females of this generation appear to have a preference for men who can offer not only them but prospective children more security. At times, one is of the opinion that marrying up offers one a better gene pool in regards to future children. Oftentimes, women engage in mate selecting that has them choosing a partner who is more academically sound and physically attractive than them. They often look for a male partner who either owns a company or manages it. Capital accumulation is of utmost importance as well, yet hypergamy is nothing new. Fathers and mothers have been encouraging their daughters to seek well-heeled partners for centuries. A plethora of marriages in countries such as India are classic examples of hypergamy. Farmers will encourage their daughters to venture into higher class social circles. The daughter marries a man of distinction, and the younger children of the family are often sent to live with the couple in order to live in the society and attend a better school. Yet, the dowry one may have to pay can often cost more than a family's entire house and furniture is worth. Sadly, this in itself has led to a higher rate of abortion of female fetuses. Marrying up in India is said to prevent the gene pool from degrading. Where men were once deemed the ones who wore the pants, it is now a thing of the past. Women are freed and allowed to assert their feminism nowadays. Those interested in hypergamy would no doubt benefit from the following tips for selecting a partner.